Today I'm going to be looking at Keepforest Evolution Devastator Breakout Pro. This thing is a Goliath. Deeply textured, it's visceral, it's hellish, it's intimidating. It hits you like a train in the face. This thing is unbelievable. Now, this has been out for a while, so this isn't as much of a intro video to what it is, but this is a video of how to get the absolute most out of this library. Because it's incredible, it has so many features baked into it. There's the morpher, there's the thing that you can import your own sounds and manipulate them, and then there's all of these different kind of rhythm building systems and effects building systems as well. So we're going to go into a bit of a deep dive about how to get the most out of this plugin as opposed to just like a top level overview, because I've seen plenty of that and this has been out for a while, and especially with November coming up and all the sales and plugins, hopefully Keepforest will put this on sale, but even if they don't, this is something to keep an eye on and get it the moment you see it, because it's absolutely unbelievable. So let's dive straight into this one. On the left side, I've got all my Keepforest stuff loaded in Contact right now. On the left side, we've got my instruments. On the right side, we've got multis. So there's all of these different, absolutely just insane multis. And the intro music that was played at the beginning of this video was one of the modern multi loops. That's really crazy. So you'll see within each folder, there's a whole bunch of multis, and then it will load up all of these different kind of presets. So if I just play. So you see what I mean? So all different multis here, they've got a heap. So they've got the score intro stems, the modern, the hybrid, the classic, and the Tenet Pulse, which I use a heap in my compositions. Those Tenet Pulse ones are awesome. Then on the left side here, we've got the instruments. So there's a couple of different things that we're going to look at. Before we look at kind of this section, we're going to have a look at this first. And now this is kind of the what I believe is their XY engine, potentially. But it is, I'm not entirely sure what this engine name is called, but what it is it's a way for you to morph a whole bunch of their samples. I believe it is the XY morphing engine that they have here. So if we just play. So this is absolutely crazy. So at the top here, we've got a presets part here, Keepforest presets, user presets. So we look at Keepforest presets. Let's go with bass and brass. Let's go with hybrid bass. Let's take another look at something else. Let's go with signature. Let's go with angry signature. Yeah, this is insane. So you've got a whole bunch of stuff quantized. You can quantize by different metrics, so like 1/8, 1/16, 1/32. There's actually so much detail here. It's insane. So we'll start from the top. We've got you know, randomizers. We've got this randomize the presets. Yes, so let's randomize it again. So I'll just load up a bit of a different preset so I can explain things a bit better. Cool, so that's a really good one. So we've got volume, tune, filter, and scene. So this stuff can all be manipulated in the middle here, as well as volume and tune. And then the kind of crux of this part is everything that's going on the sides here. So you can actually load up, you know, different samples. You can get really experimental with it as well. So you can change everything, kind of like that randomizer there. So if I change, the Brahm. And if you see here, as I'm changing the volume, I'm kind of like this mapping here. You can see the morphing map. You can see how it lends itself to certain things. Same tune. Then filter. Then scene. So the scene, yeah, so awesome. So let me jump into this now. So down here you can see a whole bunch of stuff going on. If we click on this, you can notice that different parts are highlighted. So it's indicating which sample you're moving here. So this, you can see there's a little bit of a time bar up here. So you can actually just move those samples to manipulate the order of which things are curving. You can kind of just think of them as like triggers, things like that. Like this, and then like if we just play it now, cut to hit, like things like that. Yeah, you can move that, adjust the position, reset the position. So this allows you to create your whole own set of sounds using this engine. It's pretty insane, to be honest. So we've got a whole bunch of like quick load things as well. You can disable a bunch of units too. We can copy things, paste things. They've really thought of a whole bunch of stuff. You can also disable things fully, so you can totally just take out parts, and if we play them. So this is only one piece of Evolution Devastator Pro. This is, you know, already in itself an insane piece of the library, but that's kind of barely touching the surface. I, for a long time, didn't use this at all until I kind of really started to get very detailed and designed with a lot of the sounds I was using in my work. So for a long time, I was using just these instruments, and then I really dived into the Morphing Engine, and things got insane. So the next one we're going to go with is the drag and drop, the user import here. So we've got you know, you can clear the sample. So it's a instance of Devastator Breakout, but with nothing in it. So I'm just going to open up my media bay, which I've got on the other screen in Cubase, and I am just going to get a hit of some kind. Cool, that'll do. I'm going to drag in this hit here. That was just off screen. So now if I play this, and then what it's got on the left side of the keyboard is a different key it's manipulating to. So if I change, it's pretty crazy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look in all the details of this kind of instance in some of their instrument examples, but I just wanted to make very clear to everyone that you are able to import your own samples, and the way that it kind of works is you open up that instance of drag and drop, you drop in a sample of yours, and then with the left hand, you're able to adjust the key of the sample that you're manipulating, and then you're able to play that sample. The things that I'll note with the sample is that you can do the sample start kind of halfway with this dragger down here. You can have it at the start, you can have it at the kind of end, but that was pretty much what I wanted to demonstrate with this. And then you've got a clear user sample and you can start again. Now I'm going to load up, let's load up a playable instrument. Let's just go with bends. So a couple of things to note, that there are tiny little details in every instrument that's a bit different. Sometimes these options are not there, maybe they are. So in the case of bends, mono is kind of, it's a single instrument playing. If I just adjust my keyboard. Polyphonic means that I'm able to play the two at once. And then glide means that I'm able to go between two instruments. Sorry, not two instruments, two notes. Sometimes that won't be there, depending on the instrument. Sometimes that will be there, like in this case as well. As another thing to note is that for things like cinematic guitar, so guitar plucks and then cinematic plucks, there's going to be a whole range of different presets of. So there's going to be different presets within every preset. So just make sure that you play around with things so you kind of know what you're dealing with. So let's look at the main page first. And this main page carries on throughout all these instruments, and then we'll have a look at different things like the drums afterwards. So first off, we've got kind of this master reverb section here, so we can enable that. So if I turn this on and on. So you've got a whole bunch of different settings you can have here. You've also got presets for the reverb in itself, which is pretty insane. So if I go, let's just go with a church and turn it on. Pre-delay. Yeah, it's a bit full on. I'll turn it off for now. But you've got, pre-delay, early IR size, early IR low pass or high pass, the late IR size, and as well as a low pass and high pass for those. And you've got your dry and wet blends that you can do there. So you've got your master reverb component, and then you've also got your kind of master high pass and low pass filters. So those are kind of things that are at a master level. Same with different, and also another cool thing is that this guy in the middle will actually move if you're adjusting settings on the left and right, which are pretty sick. So if I play around too with some of the envelope parameters as well, it'll adjust the sound. It would help if I... And you see, with the envelope parameters, eventually it just stops. So I'll leave that there for now. And then you can just, you can fully randomize things. So see, it's just absolutely just unbelievable. All right, so that's like the main page. Let's look at the effects page. So if I let me disable this. Yeah. We've got the effects page. So we've got a master effects chain that you can enable for everything. So and there's a lot of options. So let's go with the lo-fi. And then within that, there's also a heap of settings too. So I'll disable that for now. Let's go with the AC box. And also you can, move positions of things as well. Let's go saturation. Not that it needs it. There's also like settings within these too. So if I go back and I enable the AC box, same with the lo-fi, there's a whole range of settings down here too. Bypass all. Yeah, and then there's a heap of presets too. So we can just go through just a ton of stuff. So if I go back to a different one. Which is pretty insane. Same with I don't know, we'll just pick another random one. Guitar pluck, why not? Pretty crazy, but there's also a save and a load functionality too, so you're able to fully load in your presets as well if you've got a chain that you've set up and you've saved that you really like. So yeah, there's a whole entire effects portion to the editor as well, which is crazy. Now I'm going to change quickly from the bass bends over to the bend leads over to just the not the bass effects. I actually just went into the distortion bass so that I can demonstrate the rhythm. So we'll randomize again. Why not? Let's go with that. So we'll go with mono for now. Okay, so this is on the right side here. So you got main effects, and now you got the rhythm. So this is where you can really take Devastator Breakout to kind of like the next level. So if you turn on step sequences here, it'll go like this. So let's first off, just as a top line overview, you've got your step sequencer, panning settings, filter settings, pitch settings, and then they kind of treat these each as individual tables. So you can copy the table, paste the table, reset the table, etc. And then there's also a randomizer. You've also got BPM or Hertz based for that timing there, similar as you would see to kind of any synth. And then we've got a whole heap of presets. So let's just load a random one. So it's pretty cool, but it's, it's one note, right? Let's turn on pitch. Cool. So you see how the kind of this table system works. They treat them within individually in their own kind of pockets. The step sequencer doesn't impact what's going on in the pitch one. What does impact is when you start to split the grid. So I'm listening here. I'm like, cool, great. I've got my sequence going. Now I just want a little bit more going on. Let's split this one into a couple more groups here. But you'll see that that does actually split up what's going on here. So I'm going to make this so there's just a bit more variation going on. Now let's talk about the filtering too. So I'm going to randomize for the sake of this, but you can pretty much add a whole filtering system to this too, so that there's just that bit of movement in it too. Like obviously you're creating movement because there's that pulse and movement feeling, but when you put on the filter, it kind of takes it to that next level. It feels dynamic. There's ebbs and flows. You can see it can get pretty crazy, pretty ridiculous. Where the cool thing is like when you play around with this in depth, you can start to really kind of get into it and you can actually use this as kind of like the basis of your entire song, which is awesome. When you feel comfortable with something too, you can click this get MIDI, and then you're actually able to drag it out and put it into your session. But I will continue. I'll continue playing around with this. The feature I haven't shown is I haven't shown the pan. So if you have headphones on right now, you're going to be able to tell very easily. If you don't, it might not be as noticeable. But yeah, and that's fully jumping between my headphones. So if I just randomize everything again. Just completely randomize it. Maybe I'll get rid of a few of this, get rid of one of that random again, just with that new step. Like it can get pretty ridiculous, but if you play at a nice tempo, and then you can also go all the way up to 16 steps. So if you randomize with that, it'll change everything again. So you play now. But you can see what I mean. You could sit here for hours just playing around with this functionality. It's actually insane. And then, yeah, you can play around full randomized, random preset from the library. Just pick a random one. There's some things that won't change though. So like some of your time settings, things like that. Then I'll click cancel. I'll go randomize again. So one of the things I have liked to do with this in the past is I actually do like to get presets like this, like the drum ones, because they have a really awesome sense of rhythm. And you can just start to play around with like the actual pitch of it, things, and you can get some really cool riffs. I mean, to be honest, I don't really use the randomized pitch too often, but I use the randomized step sequencer to give me some ideas. But if you've got this line, yeah, awesome. So you can see here, it's like I like to use kind of the drum sequence presets that they've cab and then make manipulations to those, because I feel like they, especially the trailer drums, they just have a really awesome bass to them, which I think is great. When I say bass, I'm not talking about the tone, I'm just talking about like their starting basis is really, really good. And you can get something going really quickly with that. But those are essentially your main 3 panels there. You've got the effects, you've got the rhythm, you've got the main, you've got this, you know, sick guy in the middle here. So if we look at some of the other stuff too, a lot of it for the most part is pretty similar. So let's open up like signals too. So if we look at signals, it's a very familiar layout that we've already talked about. Same with effects main, and then yeah, you've got the sample in the middle. So I want to use the signals as kind of a demonstrator for this. So what you can actually do in here, so we've already touched on the random sampler, but what we can do is we can start to play out with the cutoff, the LFO, the volume, and then also the from hit. So in some cases, there will be kind of a tail before, and then there'll be a hit. And you can actually enable from hit straight away, so it'll go straight to the hit as opposed to going in with that pre-hit. So if we're going volume, let's edit it down and just like kill it there. If I click, also keep in mind, this impacts whatever note you're on, not master, right? So you can go like same with. So reset, and then let's do like pan. It's a bit harder on a pluck, but if I just, you can see that, you can feel that panning. Reset again. Let's go with the LFO. Now let's go cutoff. So you can start to play around with things. So let's just say you've got a hit, you really like it, but you want the tail to go, and then you want it to start off on that side and go to the other, and then really quickly. Same with the LFO, you can have that. And then if you've got the master reverb on, didn't mean that. So yeah, that in itself is a whole set of functionality you can play with there. So there's pretty much your main part there where you have your sample selection, preset selection, things like the plucks and stuff like that. There was a whole different section where you could select the actual tone that you had. Then you've got your effects panels, you've got your rhythm panels, and then back at the main, you've got the settings for the sample in itself. You've also got the envelope parameters as well as the master reverb parameters too. So the other thing I wanted to look at here is if we look at drums, this is another section too completely. So let's look at drum kits. So this is again a whole other section. It's still got your effects and your rhythms, but it's got a whole different kind of layout here. So let's have a look. So this is just like the default kit. You can do a random kit. I do love that Keepforest are big fans of like the random button. So yeah, so you can audition the sounds just through. You can audition the sounds through clicking through them. You are also able to, like solo, so you can only hear that. That kind of feature is handy if you've got the whole kit playing, and then on the MIDI, and then you just want to solo something. You can also mute it too. So there's the M and the S. Then you're also able to audition sounds too as well. And then you've got full kits as well. So we've got categories, factory, user, and then you can start to like really get into it. So I actually use this a lot for like the trap sounds that they have. I don't have a heap of trap drum kits. Come from a metal background. I have a heap of acoustic drum kits, and over time I've acquired a heap of cinematic drum kits. But in terms of trap kits, I don't have a heap of those, so I use this a lot for that. So that's more of the cinematic hip hop. If we go like the hybrid trap, but yeah, you've got drum presets here, and then you've also got like just a whole heap of settings as well. So if you click on settings here, it changes the view as well completely, and you're able to just start auditioning stuff too. So there's whole groups. You can random the kit, you can start the sample at a different pot, you can pan it differently, you can tune it differently. They've thought of everything. There's even a built-in transient shaper into just this preset selection part. You've got gun handlers, liquid crush, metals, ticks, percussion. It also will tell you what you have selected already, so you don't accidentally think you've got the right one. It turns out that you had the whole one the whole time. There's also just a lot of them. I mean, when it comes to snares, 76 snares. And also, yes, if you disable auto, it won't play for you. But yeah, you exit out of that. There's also that MIDI signal there. But yeah, so that's the drum kit in itself. If we look at like something as simple back to organic hits, which I use a heap, it is a very familiar place. Again, the one thing to keep in mind with things like the hits is that on the left hand, you've got pitch selection, and then the right hand is the actual sample selection. So like... You've also got stretch mode too. So stretch mode only works with a certain percentage of the samples. So it's stretching that all the way. And the reason it's doing that is because it wants to kind of retain that size for you. You notice as you kind of pitch manipulate a sample, it will shrink or lengthen out for you. So yeah, that's just something to keep in mind. Stretch mode there with the organic hits as well. But yeah, everything we've talked about in relation to all of the other settings, like the effects, the rhythm, and then all of these different things are super just super useful and very, very relevant to all this. If we look at something like the resonances that I'll take a look at briefly. This is when you can start to play around with this stuff really interestingly. So let's just do that. The volume, we'll do like starts low, comes up high, and then go. It's a bit drastic. Let's kind of get that back in the middle. I'll bring that up a little bit. Do you want to open it up at the end potentially, or maybe you want the cutoff to actually match what's going on with the original one? Yeah, see, that's really cool. And the thing that with what you can do in your DAW is you can start to play around with a heap of automation, and from there you just have these really sick sounds. Obviously, they've been started using a library like this, but it is very, very easy for you to make a sound your own using this library by Keepforest. They've just done an incredible job. They've thought of everything, really. Like there isn't anything like playing with it that I'm like, damn, I wish I could do that. I wish I could do this. The one thing that they've introduced in other stuff that I can't remember if it's here or not is a reverse button. But even then, like, I feel like I have somehow seen it at different points. But even then, like, you could always print something and reverse it. But all of these instruments, all of these multis, all of the presets within the multis, all the presets within this instrument, and then everything that they offer inside of the actual kind of playing environment is just out of this world. So I think in summary, in conclusion, if all of the features that you just saw weren't enough, I'd love to know what else you would want to see from this library, because as someone who uses it very regularly in conjunction with, you can see on the left here, I've got Evolution Devastator Warzone, I've got Ferrum, I've got Ryzenger Pro as well. Keepforest just keep making bangers, that's the truth. And like I said, this has been out for a while. This isn't a introduction to what Devastator Breakout Pro is. This is a how to get the most out of it, because it is very easy to just use one portion of it and not realize there is this whole other suite of stuff. I've been guilty of that, especially with Ferrum. For a long time, I just used the Ferrum sample sounds, which you do get a lot of the wabs and the hits if you're importing. I used to use Ableton a lot, and it was very easy to drag and drop. But the bottom line with this is that there is so much to offer with Devastator Breakout Pro. Don't accidentally forget to use a whole bunch of stuff that's on offering here. So yes, go check out Evolution Devastator Breakout Pro by Keepforest. I'm hoping for people that don't have it, it may go, as part of the upcoming Black Fridays. But if it doesn't, go get it anyway. This is hands down one of the best, if not the best offering that they have when it comes to that intimidating, just deep punch you in the face feeling that a lot of these sounds have. That if you're doing cinematic stuff, trailer stuff, or if you're doing game stuff too, it's super impactful. I've heard it great used in metal context as well. EDM stuff goes crazy with a couple of these signature sounds layered in. So it serves a lot of genres. So it's definitely worth checking out. Thank you for watching this video. Please go check out Keepforest at their website.